Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for the second war of Season 33. We're going up against JA, and they are a very big alliance, a very war-focused alliance. My team is going to be Nebula with the Proxima synergy as well as Archangel, and I'm taking 5 fights, including a couple mini-bosses, and of the 5 fights, 3 of them are rank 4 champions, and I will be punching up with rank 3s today. So definitely an interesting war, even though it's not a lot of fights. We're going to see some interesting stuff, some stuff that I've never done before. We're going to see Nebula being not a nuke for once and just being a good utility champion. And I'm starting off on path 2 with this green Goblin here. Now, when this was high ground, he was a lot more dangerous here for sure. And I think the temptation with Archangel is to just parry heavy until he dies. And I think, maybe 99 out of 100 times, if you do that, it will work. But you do have to worry a little bit about the strike counter fury, as well as the power struggle. His whatever the green sense that he has, whether that's cunning or madness, I don't remember, will stop your power gain a little bit, which means power struggle will not give you a full bar of power. So if you don't throw a special early in the match and you get really bad neurotoxin luck, you could actually get hurt by all the block damage from his specials. So what I'm going to do is play strike counter for one special attack. So we do heavy, and then we do medium, light, light, back off, medium, light, and now I'm just going to combo into my special with power struggle. It gives him a couple furies, but at this point we have some neurotoxins, we have a poison that we can convert. This is my only Archangel fight, and the only way I'm dying in this fight is if he gets 30 furies and throws specials into my block and my neuros fall off. So, it's an unlikely scenario. Like I said, if I had just gone into this and parry heavied, it would have been fine. But I like safety any day of the week over just nuking. And there was really nothing else going on in that fight to not play strike counter, and that's why I did it that way. So next up, we have our first rank 4. We're going to see 3 dangerous robots today that Nebula completely destroys, even if I don't play perfectly. And I'm going to be throwing on advanced power boost for this one because we are mostly going to be treating this like the Nimrods I've taken all season, last season on node 46, where we basically just get over our special 2. We throw the special 2 with the shocks and the fight's over. Anytime you fight Nimrod, just, the tips I always give in case this is the first time you're seeing my video, you want to be over 2 bars of power before doing this move so he doesn't special lock you. And then you just want to watch out for the unstoppable armor and the protocol timers because those could proc armors out of nowhere and he could go unstoppable in the middle of your specials. So as long as you keep track of those things, it won't go south. But I have seen footage of people getting clobbered by the Unstoppable, so you have to be careful. Now, this fight was by far the hardest fight for me to think about. It's a rank 4 Apocalypse on node 24. We're going to just heal Nebula to full to be absolutely safe. It has aspect of evolution, so the longer it goes, the worse it gets. Bubble shield, we have to keep track of. Burden of Might to me means that I'm just not going to have special attacks to use. And so what I did for this fight was actually I saw a reference video from MP Blaze from New Nation, who is one of my friends and one of the best players in the game for sure. He had a really good strategy for this, and I don't mimic his strategy exactly, but basically what you're going to do is just throw the invuln on. We're just going to fight Apocalypse because he's not that dangerous when you can parry him. And then we're going to just use the shocks that we get to kill him. So I'm going to actually start a strange way by parrying over the shocks and throwing it heavy. And the reason I did that is to create space, because the only way I've seen people get in trouble in this fight is if they get cornered. So I'm just starting this fight off with an advantage, keeping track of bubble shield, just building some shocks. I know I can build them from the EMP mod, but he's sort of playing along here, and I had all that room in the arena. So again, the heavy attack just gives a little bit extra space. I can very safely block the special 1. It won't trigger bubble shield. And I mean, that's shock damage is pretty awesome, right? So we just hold block. You can dash out on the last hit if you want, but because of EMP, we got our 20 shocks. You just have to make sure to proc Dex every once in a while, which is going to allow the EMP modification to get you. Right there, I went through my indestructible. I meant to dash out on the 11th hit there, but for some reason my input didn't work. I was probably just a little late. So he's mostly dead. The only issue is Aspect of Evolution means the next special 1 that I have to block is actually going to really hurt through the block. This is a rank 4. There's challenge rating to think about. There's the additional attack. There's the additional stats that he gets from Aspect. So right there, that really hurts. Just try. This one's going to hurt even worse because he got even another bar of power. But I know that now that I have 20 shocks, I just have to get them over and it'll be over. So I've done that fight before with the full Nebula team and full nuke style. But I like the idea of going into the fight realizing you're not going to have specials, you're not going to throw them, but you are going to get shocks on you anytime EMP modification reflects those back on you. And by getting those amp charges, you can have a lot of damage over time, and then you just have to fight Apocalypse and be comfortable with Bubble Shield. Now, I could have just probably gone straight onto this fight, but it's my first time taking this node on path 1, which basically we're going to be turning off the node right from the beginning because of the whole Nebula having 10 amp charges thing from Proxima. He's not going to have any of his abilities that aren't functions, and he's going to basically have all his abilities, but we're going to turn off the node. So yeah, basically we don't have to worry about the regen coming off of the dashing back. What I want to kind of do in this fight is, first of all, in the back of my head, I'm thinking about trying to save my potions, which probably isn't the smartest thing, but I'm mostly going to kind of play him stun immune, just bait the special 1s just to take a little bit less chip damage. I know that there's really nothing happening in this fight except for watching out for the evades. Unstoppable armor is not going to proc because that is not one of his functions. So you'll see right there if function armor did proc. And I think technically that could have procced an unstoppable armor because that's not affected by ability accuracy. So anyway, that may have been a mistake, but I did luck out. But my goal here was to not take too much chip damage and to basically throw special 3s. But now I think I start kind of getting a little sloppy after what was a really nice start to the fight. We trigger an evade, not a big deal. I don't remember if I get hit, but I think I just end up taking a little bit of block damage here and there. And, you know, my goal was just kind of to do special 3s because I wanted to keep the node off the entire time. So this is a pretty boring fight that Nebula just kind of has under control, but it is going to kind of take a while. And yeah, there we go. So we get smacked. We get to see that regen of Nebula really working. In fact, I think we healed back more than we took there because of the recovery mastery. So that's kind of cool. I suppose we could parry over the shocks and finish him here, but Ultron always scares me a little bit because, you know, the evade, the unstoppable armor. It's like looking to me like the fight's under control if I just throw special 3s. So that's kind of my plan. I'm just going to kind of do that. And then I'm thinking maybe I can parry this over now, and then we can get rid of this regen buff. But again, I'm just kind of playing it safe. Like, we weren't going to win this war on time anyway. Once again, I'm just kind of not paying attention to the evade. Very sloppy. But yeah, at this point, the shocks just get him down. And it was still a really good counter. It just took a little bit longer than I wanted. Of course, if I was running recoil or something like that, I think it would have gone a lot faster. But I felt safe in the fight the entire time. So next up, as Caesar finished up my lane, there was a thing there. and he used his Falcon, who has the Defiance tactic. But now we're going up against our final rank 4, who has 13,000 attack, which is pretty darn high. She has very high base attack. In fact, it's the highest in the game. And the placement is really begging you to use Nebula, because Nebula is going to turn off Hazard Shift and turn off all of the abilities of Omega Sentinel. Now, what's going to end up happening is I'm really going to be feeling the discrepancy between rank 3 and rank 4, which is why I used the combat regen boost instead of something else, because I knew I was going to be blocking a lot. And I'm already losing the HP battle, and she's just destroying me through block. I mean, the base attack plus the difference in challenge rating is very noticeable here. And right there, totally saved my butt with standard ground. That actually may have caused a death if I actually got hit. So yeah, scary moment. I'm realizing I maybe need to not be so liberal with the block. Like with the Ultron, we're going to be trying to just kind of get to special 3s. It was one of those situations where I practiced evading the special 1, but it just, in the heat of the moment, I felt more comfortable blocking it, because I realized, once I get this special 3, I'm going to have another source of damage, which is the shocks. And now that I'm feeling a little bit more confident, I'm dexing the first beam of the special 1, and then just sort of letting those 2 orbs hit my block, and then, so right there, dex, and then let those hit. Those orbs don't do as much damage as the first or last hits of the special do, so that's, all of a sudden now I'm in control of the fight. I have way more health than she does. We're just baiting the special 1s. There we block pretty much all of it, which isn't the end of the world. Now, if I had built enough power so that she had a couple shocks on me, I would have dropped the special 2 there to finish her off, but my Nebula is probably not high sig enough to benefit from the combat power rate, so I didn't quite get back to special 2 yet. But here we go. We're just going to throw another special 3, and now she's pretty much toast. I would have to really mess up for something bad to happen here. So there we get a good dex of the first hit. We take those blocked hits, and now the shocks are going to probably be enough to whittle her down the rest of the way. And yeah, it was just a somewhat scary stun immune Omega Sentinel that she never gained an armor. She never gave me a hazard shift. That's just Nebula shutting down the node. I think she's the single best counter there, just because you don't have to worry about the node. You just have to kind of fight a stun immune champ who doesn't have the worst specials, but she is going to hurt you through the block a little bit. So anyway, interesting war. As a reminder, I am keeping track of all the loyalty cost boosts and potions that I'm using throughout the season. You could see in this war that because of those rank 4s, because of the mini bosses and the chip damage that I was taking, I did have to heal up a pretty solid amount. As well as, I think the boosts that I use, that invuln for Apoc, that Power Start 1 for, I think, Nimrod was it, and then the regen for Omega Sentinel, I really think that that made those fights winnable. I mean, I think I would have won either way, but if I hadn't used those boosts, I would have lost even more health and had to use more potions, or even worse, I might have died and had to heal to full. So, in terms of what the loyalty costs are, I do think they're pretty accurate, because it's like you either have to pay for a boost to conserve the health, or you have to buy the health through potions itself. It's probably going to end up being about the same number, which is why I'm including all of those gray boosts and class boosts in the spreadsheet, because they do cost loyalty, and in a lot of ways they save you health. So thanks to everybody ahead of time for using the spreadsheet. I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback, heard a lot of people giving shout outs and sharing the spreadsheet so that we can get some data for Kabam in terms of what it actually costs to run war. We did end up losing the war, but it was fun to go up against those rank 4s, get to use Nebula again. And our BG did pretty well. I think we died 2 times or so. So anyway, that's going to conclude this war. Thanks again for checking it out, and I will catch you guys in the next one.